To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
An Indian Air Force fighter jet was involved in a fatal accident earlier today where the jet crashed near Churu in Rajasthan. Times Now has learned that this was a Jaguar fighter jet and the incident took place around 1:25 p.m. this afternoon. Shortly after the crash, local residents rushed to the spot and found burning debris as that turned into a ball of fire. At the fighter jet there after it crashed. Policemen from the nearby police stations also quickly arrived at the spot and the ambulances, firefighting teams were also dispatched. The area has now been cordoned off to clear the debris. And now we have an official statement, in fact, coming in from the Indian Air Force. The IAF has now issued an official statement on the crash, on this incident. The IAF says, and I quote, an IAF Jaguar trainer aircraft met with an accident during a routine training mission and crashed near Churu in Rajasthan today. Both pilots sustained fatal injuries in the accident. No damage to any civil property has been reported. IAF deeply regrets the loss of lives and stands firmly with the bereaved families in this time of grief. Not just that, IAF also in its statement has said that a court of inquiry has been constituted to ascertain the cause of the incident. So that's the first official statement we have got for you from the Indian Air Force after the crash took place. We are now joined by my colleague Rishabh for more on this. Rishabh, so now it is official. It was indeed a Jaguar fighter jet that was involved in a training mission, and it's the first statement that has come from the Indian Air Force.
Well, definitely a twin-seater Jaguar aircraft of Indian Air Force that was on a trainee sortie in Churu has crashed, leaving both the pilots dead. What we're given to understand that squadron leader, rank officer, a pilot, and a lieutenant, flying lieutenant rank pilot has lost their lives in this fatal crash that took place in Churu earlier today. A court of inquiry has been issued by the Indian Air Force to ascertain the cause of this crash. But this happens to be the third Jaguar crash this year, one in Jamnagar and now in Churu. What we're given to understand that this aircraft had just 9 minutes of flight after taking taking off from the nearby Air Force station when it crashed in Churu. No loss to private property or life has been reported, is what IAF confirms. But IAF also confirms what we were fearing for last 2 to 3 hours, that both the pilots on board the Jaguar fighter jet has been killed in this crash.
Well, that's right. Indian Air Force in its statement has confirmed the death of both the pilots. That's quite unfortunate. And like you were telling us, Rishabh, it was a twin-seater Jaguar trainer aircraft of the Indian Air Force that crashed in Rajasthan's Churu. Now, what's also important to note here is that, Rishabh, why is it really happening? Because if you see in the year 2025 itself, like you've also been reporting, this is the third crash involving a Jaguar fighter jet of the Indian Air Force.
Definitely. See, one happened in Jamnagar where one of the pilots who had just been engaged lost his life. The second in the month of April, second happened in the month of May, and now in the month of July we are seeing the third crash. At least 4 pilots have lost their lives as of now in the Jaguar crash. But no one can, looking at these 3 crashes, one cannot just conclude that Jaguars are not fit to fly. Jaguars are, and as we have been talking that last for 4 decades, Jaguars have been the proven warhorse for India. The first Jaguars came into Indian Air Force in 1970s. Sometime in 1980s, the full squadron happened in Safed Sagar. During Kargil war, Jaguars were used along with Mirages. After Pulwama attack, when the airstrikes in Balakot took place, the first set of airstrikes were undertaken by mirages, but if Wing Commander Abhinandan wouldn't have been shot down, there were also plans. This is what people known to developments in defense apparatus has confirmed to us, that if things would have gone as planned, there could have been one more airstrike where Jaguars would have been involved, which means that India put so much of faith, Indian Air Force put so much of faith on Jaguars. Jaguars have been, one of the proven war horses, is what IF suggests. 3 crashes definitely need inquiry, need to ascertain what's going wrong and why are these crashes taking place, because the aircrafts are not a problem.
Well, that's right. In fact, I was just looking at the data, from March and April. And Rishabh, in March, when the Jaguar fighter jet had crashed during a training sortie, the pilot safely ejected. No casualties were reported. In April, of course, squadron leader Siddharth Yadav tragically succumbed to injuries sustained during the ejection, while the second pilot survived with injuries. However, unfortunately, in this particular crash, both the pilots have lost their lives. Stay on with us. We are now joined by Group Captain Augustine Vinod as well. Rishabh continues to be with us on the broadcast. Group Captain Augustine Vinod, appreciate you joining us here on Times Now. The IAF has come out with an official statement confirming that it was indeed a Jaguar fighter jet that crashed near Churu in Rajasthan, and unfortunately both the pilots have lost their lives. But third such incident involving a Jaguar fighter jet, your first thoughts, sir?
First and foremost is, we are training for war. So when you train for war, you need to train like in war-like situation. And in case of Jaguars, they fly low, they fly at very high speeds. They are called the DPSA, the Deep Penetration Strike Aircraft. Jaguars all over the world. Jaguars operated with Oman Air Force, Jaguars operated with Royal Air Force in Britain. So Jaguars are designed to fly very low at very high speed, evading enemy radar. Now, when you have something flying at 850, 900 kilometers an hour at low levels, is infested today. With the kind of population that is coming up and the kind of procedures we have in terms of disposing of our trash.
Right.
Birds are, all over. So we fly in times when there's very low bird activity. And we try to fly in areas where there is no bird. And prior to we fly there, we carry out a bird reconnaissance. So an helicopter or a slow-moving aircraft goes there and does reconnaissance, and then these fighters do training. Now, training we have to, because the kind of neighbor we have, like Pakistan and China, they can do anything. So you have to be on the ball. You have to keep your pilots trained, and then only you will get results that we got during the recent Operation Sindoor. Pakistan didn't know what it did. Why? It doesn't happen overnight, isn't it? It happens when you train like you train during a war. In that condition, when you have a verdict, and especially when you have a verdict at a critical, I'm not saying this is a case of verdict, I'm just saying the dangers involved.
Right.
So with this kind of dangers, you will have a situation when, crashes do happen. Our aim is to have, zero incidents and zero accidents, which is not a possibility, mathematically not a possibility.
Right.
Therefore, we need to wait for what the Air Force has to come up with.
Well, absolutely. We'll wait for the final report after the investigation is done in this particular case. But thank you very much, Group Captain Augustine Vinod. Appreciate you joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Thank you, Rishabh, for your inputs as well. Let's now move on and shift our focus to another big story of the day. Viewers, now in just a few hours, if I may say, the Ahmedabad plane crash probe report is going to be released. Now, the crash, that deadly crash, took place on 12th of June. And as per the protocol, within 30 days, the team that's led by AAIB is supposed to come out with the preliminary findings. Now, even as final touches are being given to this particular report, we have got some inside information. The AAIB preliminary report on the AI-171 crash indicates, now this is what we've learned from sources, now this indicates that investigators are reviewing real-time satellite telemetry to detect possible instrument failures during the flight mid-air. Now, according to sources familiar with the investigation, there is a focus specifically on sudden mid-flight power loss. What really led to that, which may suggest causes beyond just the fuel control switches. While early findings center on the positioning of engine fuel control switches, the possibility of multiple system failures has not been ruled out as well. AAIB has not identified a definitive cause and continues to examine various onboard systems and external data sources as well. Now, this is what my colleague Sabyasachi has learned from his sources. Let me straight away now go across to Sabyasachi, who is joining us live right now for more on this. Sabyasachi, now the information you've got for our viewers, this inside scoop is significant because it also gives us an idea of what possibly could be there in the prelim report that is expected, maybe today, tomorrow, or max by day after.
Well, that's right. The preliminary report on the AI-171 crash indicates that the investigators who are investigating are reviewing real-time satellite telemetry to detect the possible instrument failure during the flight. Now, according to the sources who are familiar with the investigation, there is also a focus on a sudden mid-flight power loss, which may have caused beyond just the fuel control switches. Now, while the early findings center on the positioning of engine dual control switches, the possibility of multiple system failures has not been completely ruled out by the AAIB. Now, the AIB has not identified a definite cause, but they continue to examine various onboard system and external data sources as well.
Sabyasachi, request you to stay on with us. In fact, we have some more breaking inputs coming in as far as the aviation sector in the country is concerned. It was the second day in a row and various stakeholders from the aviation sector met. In fact, parliamentary panels. Yesterday was the meeting with the Public Accounts Committee. Today was a meeting with Parliamentary Standing Committee, and we have an inside scoop on that as well. MPs, the members of Parliament, we are learning, have raised questions regarding the Air India crash in Ahmedabad. In fact, stakeholders were asked why the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau and airlines have neither issued a report nor conducted any kind of press briefing so far to restore faith of public in air travel. Some members even question why panic in public is not being addressed properly, and a couple of other issues were raised as well. Let me go across to my colleague Sabyasachi, who continues to be with us at this point in time. Sabyasachi, so there was this important meeting as well of the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Take us through the key highlights. What were some of the key issues that were raised by the members of Parliament today on the issue of safety and Air India?
Well, the primary demand which the Parliamentary Committee has raised was regarding the safety of the passengers, as to make sure that there are no more loopholes as far as the maintenance of the flight is concerned. Now, the MPs have raised a question regarding the Air India crash in Ahmedabad, and they have asked the representative that why the AIB, the airlines, has neither issued a report nor conducted a press briefing so far to restore faith of people in air travel. And some MPs have also questioned why a panic in public was not addressed yet. Now, they have also cited various reports which has shown in the past that there are several vacancies in the DGCA which has not been filled year after year, and concerns have also been raised about the status of the black box. Now, the MPs have also highlighted that how time and again several recommendations was given by the Parliamentary Committee, but none of these recommendations were actually being implemented by the administration nor by the airlines. Now, that is the reason why this summon was issued to all the Ministry of Civil Aviation representatives, as well as the DGCA and representatives from different airlines across the country.
Sabyasachi, appreciate you joining us with all those inputs. Let's now move